Here's exactly how we automate businesses around the world on 5 different languages. This is one of our clients. He's offering aesthetic services in Mexico, so Spanish language. Surprise, but I do not speak Spanish. None of my team members does. I speak Russian, English, and Belarusian. Here's exactly what we did. Usually, the process involves the setup, the onboarding, then the actual implementation, testing, and the production. If you want me to go over in depth of how my onboarding process works, because we're using the ClickUp for almost anything, press the like button. 250 likes on this video. Next week, you know the rule, I'm gonna publish it. Here we are creating a project. Again, blurring all the information out, but you'll get the idea. So this project usually has two list, project, whatever you call it, list within the ClickUp has two main tabs. The first one is the task tab. The second one is the overview tab with all the details about the customer. Now, because there are different ways how we acquire clients, from the content to partnerships to the cold outreach, the actual process of gathering the initial information can vary. But in the perfect scenario, we're capturing everything on the first call, then we're creating the transcript and the summary and putting this summary here on English. Now, the advantage of working with international businesses is the fact that they're using something besides email and SMS, not like US businesses. They use WhatsApp actively, they use Telegram, sometimes other messengers. That is where we come in and create a group. So here, again, this is my group WhatsApp. You'll see that we have a WhatsApp group here. I have my project managers connected, and the conversation, as you can see, is on Spanish. Have no idea what we're talking about, but you know, it's pretty easy. We're just translating everything to get the ball rolling. Now, once the project has been set up, once the group has been created, now we are starting to develop the actual automations. In the 90% of the cases, we are automating the sales pipeline for the business. For this specific company, as you can see on the website on the left, they have a chat on WhatsApp that we integrated. So once people click this button, they go to the WhatsApp and talk to one of our AI sales reps. And on the right, this is a live chatbot. Now, I'm not going to talk to any of them because, again, it's in Spanish, so not ideal. But I'll show you the demo of how it works. Now, within the sales box that we're usually integrating, which is the one-prompt solution that we are reselling to our clients, and you can license, link in the description. Pretty easy. You can adopt the same system to your clients or to your specific use case, then white label and resell for multiple 4 figures if you want to get your AI business up and running pretty fast. Our main core service is the AI sales rep or sales pipeline automations. That is why you can see on the website of this specific client, we have on the left the chat on the WhatsApp widget that is opening the WhatsApp, sending the message to the agent first, trying to engage with our sales rep, and then the sales rep handles the actual booking, qualification, nurturing, and customer support. And we also have the web chat on the right, even though, again, as I said, because this is the international market, Mexico, you know, everyone uses the WhatsApp, you know, live chat is not that relevant. For the automations, we're usually using the N8N as the power engine that is powering the interface, which is the high level. Now, we're using our version of the high level, which is the one prompt, which is our version of high level that you can also license and resell to your clients for 4 to 5 figures, depending on the country, on the use case, as well as the company you're working with. Everything has been already built in. We provided education, we provided support, so check the link in the description. So everything is pretty much already done here. We usually create a sub account for this specific client. We have the sales system, then we keep only the automation and the agent that we're gonna specifically use for this client. Let's say for this aesthetic clinic, we are using the appointment setter agent because we're trying to book, and we are booking the appointment with their prospects that come through the website, through the ads on either the live chat, which is less than 10%, to the WhatsApp, which is about 70%, and 20% can and submit the information through the form. Everything is handled here. So once the form or the request on the WhatsApp or the live chat is created and received inside the high level, we are starting this automation. This automation is actually receiving the input. This is the actual SMS trigger, but we're usually putting the WhatsApp here. We're saving the trigger, then we're setting the agent type here. And then once this is done, the actual backend automation starts, where we are generating the response inside one of our engines. For the engines, we usually use the N8N. This is one of them, so let me show it to you. So we have first a webhook, which is the trigger, right? So that we're triggering after the user sent us a message on WhatsApp. So because the WhatsApp number is directly connected into the high level, once the message is received, we were triggering the previous automation that I was showing you, and then going into this automation that is triggering the N8N workflow webhook and passing all the parameters here. Now we're setting the different fields, like the user ID that is going to be used for the memory as well as for the conversation utterances, to match all the utterance with the memory and sync all the information within our high level. Now we have a bot persona that is setting the general bot persona. We have the reply rules, which is very important since we're trying to mimic human behavior. We're just giving all the information on this specific set step. Now, keep in mind and pay attention to the fact that we are doing everything on English, because we have another set step, which is the set language rule. So here we specify that if the user speaks Spanish, we must respond in Spanish. If the user speaks African, we need to respond in African. So the same way as we are talking on English, same way it will talk to the prospects on any language. Now, and the way we're doing that is like very simple, because everything is getting powered here. So all of these agents and sub-agents are getting powered by this LLM model. Currently, we're using the 4.1 as the main one, because this model supports all these languages. It doesn't really matter. So we're setting up all the prompts in English. Once the reply is received on, let's say, WhatsApp here, you are triggering the workflow inside the high level, and then this workflow is passing the user utterance on Spanish. It's getting generated. So the reply is getting generated using our English prompts as a reference, but on Spanish, and then we're receiving the reply on Spanish back. Now, let me actually show it to you how it works. So this is, the actual number that is connected to the high level. Now, so if I say, hello, this is John, I really want to learn what you guys do. Now, this is actually the demo version of the agent that I was showing you earlier. So now we're gonna wait for a response, and the response that we're gonna get is gonna be generated on English, because we are providing the response on English. Now, there are multiple steps that are actually starting once the message is received. As I was saying, the main one is this wait and reply module. So if we see if we go back and find the automation that got triggered here, it's probably the work, the sales rep, the inbound, in this specific wait and reply. Yeah, we actually already got a reply, glad to drop in. So this is the first reply that we got. We're about to get a second one. And this is the reply on English. So if we get a translate right now, and if we are going to translate, let's wait for the second message to get dropped. Yeah, so tell me about the company, what you guys do. Okay, so now if we translate the message from, let's say, Spanish, from English to Spanish, I really like apples. do you have any cars, something like that, something random. So this is on Spanish. Not sure how accurate this is, but now if we ask this specific question, it will trigger this wait and reply automation. So as you can see, so the Eugene Katzen is getting triggered, and right now it's gonna go through the entire flow. So if we check the execution history here, so that was one of our recent executions. And if we check the webhook, so here in the JSON, we are passing this, hello, this is John, right? So now this is actually the second automation that is, the second message that is getting run. So here, it's responding us in Spanish. Now, I have no idea how accurate this is. Usually, of course, when we're testing the solution, we are getting it translated. But usually, once we are working with companies that have like larger databases or have a very specific qualification or nurturing pipeline, what we do, we train everything on English, right? So we are, providing the English version of the template utterances that the customer provides us, that the user sent them. And then we make sure that everything is perfect. Then we ourselves start talking with this agent on, Spanish or in French. And then we provide this as an example to the actual company for them to test on their language, and only after, so this is the fourth step, only after we are getting deployed on the actual, infrastructure of the business. Now, because this is the high level, it's pretty easy to translate the interface here because as you know, not all people in the world speak English. That is why here you have a preferred language and you can easily change, turn it off. So to, Canada, French or Spanish here, you save it and the whole interface will be updated. So even though our customers, when we open them, sub-accounts are not managing the automations themselves. They're not managing the end-to-end engines. They're not managing the actual automations within the high level. They only have the access to the dashboard as well as the conversations and the pipelines. With the contacts, everything here will be on Spanish. So if we go to the conversations here, we'll see that the last conversation is the conversation that was just happening with us on the WhatsApp, but it is on English. So here, everything will be on Spanish. The last thing that I want to show you is, for example, if we go in Spanish and if we translate it from English to, let's say, Spanish, and we say, hey, yes, can you save my email, please? Or okay, so let's do something simpler. Here is my email, Eugene, YouTube, like that, at gmail.com. So we have a flow that is updating all the information back to our high level. So if you go here, you will see that, okay, so we are like receiving, we're setting the custom fields, we're checking if the user provided any information, which is exactly what I just showed. Because here we're saying, okay, now this is the extract module from the end-to-end. Here we're saying, now, your goal is from the conversation history, because before that, we're having the chat memory manager that is retrieving all the conversation memory that we have with the user. This specific module analyzes the last utterance as well as the conversation history to identify if the user provided his name, and we did provide the name, as well as the email, which we just provided. Once he does, we have, a router, so, the name and the email should not be empty. In our case, it is not empty. It will run the webhook. So we already got a response of saying, yeah, gracias, probably, like, thank you, whatever. But if we go to our contact here, you can see that the email was updated to this specific email that we have provided in the chat. That is why it is automatically synced between different places. So now, once this user with this specific phone number is going to make a call, this, our agent, because it has the unified memory, it will have the conversation, the email for the contacts, as well as the conversation history that we have here, which is the chat, right? So we're also not only saving the chat history inside our Supabase here, right? So we're, having the conversation history as the Postgres, so we're like saving it inside our Supabase. We're not only doing that, but we're also saving the conversation history inside one of the custom fields inside the high level, so that then we can reference it through multiple channels, through voice and text, and we call it a unified memory. So answering a lot of you guys' questions, usually working on multiple languages is not a problem, and adopting something like the one prompt, the sales system that we have to your specific market is not a problem. Or if you're building something for a client that is not talking your native language, again, you should not worry about that, because everything, if you're using something like a high level as the interface can be easily translated, or if you're using just the backend of the interface like the NIDN or even VoiceLow or even the retail, all of their models, most of their models support multilingual approach. So again, you should test it out, but you can be comfortable to provide the instructions on English and have a specific block that is specifying and explaining to the agent how to behave when the reply is received on a different language. Now, if you have a specific, and if you're working with a complex business with complex documentation, with a technical information about certain products, what you can also do, you can here have a separate section like that and provide a slangish words that you must use or that the agent needs to understand to process the request correctly. This is more relevant, and we've been doing that for the businesses that are bigger, usually the enterprise companies that are serving international markets. So the documentation could be on English or could be on one language, and then the responses and the questions that they are receiving are coming from the different languages. Now, depending on the company, they may have a lot of the different documentation pieces on different languages, but you do not really want to upload everything into the knowledge base, or if you would filter it through the metadata. You can actually have a block here that will identify the user language, right? Save it into the custom memory, and then on this knowledge base request, you will have a metadata filter right here that is going to filter only the documents that have this specific metadata filter, and you can upload the English documents with a metadata like English, and the Spanish documents or French documents, Russian documents, whatever documents on this specific language, right? So now it can parse it differently. But if it's not that complex, you can just provide everything into the language set step, and you'll be good to go. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.